The Trump administration's very bizarre handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case has only raised more questions than it's answered, especially after a new report that says the government released a version of the jail cell video that had a missing minute.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We're gonna dive into some wild stuff today, the Jeffrey Epstein case and the absolute clown show that was the Trump administration's involvement. Seriously, the more you look into this, the more questions you have. As Seth Meyers pointed out, it was a totally bizarre situation, and it gets even weirder when you look at how the president responded to questions about it.
That's such old history, very easy to explain, but I don't want to waste your time by explaining it.
No. Please, my man, waste our time.
Whatever you think, Donald Trump has a playbook for these kinds of situations. When he's cornered and has to explain something that's really awkward, he's got a way of making the whole thing disappear without actually answering anything. When you say something is easy to explain but then refuse to do it, you're essentially saying the truth is so simple, you don't even need to bother with the details. It's a way of shutting down the conversation, and it tells you everything you need to know about how he deals with situations he doesn't want to touch.
I bought a bunch of red string to connect all the players, but it turns out I only need a little tiny piece because my conspiracy board only has the one picture on it.
For years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate.
Finally, some moral backbone. He did something inappropriate, and that was?
He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me.
Sorry, Jeff, underage sex trafficking is one thing, but I draw the line at you stealing my omelet man.
And here's where it gets really strange. When asked about his friendship with Epstein, he didn't bring up the crimes, the sex trafficking, or any of the serious stuff. His reason for cutting ties with the guy was so trivial, it's almost unbelievable. He claimed it was because Epstein stole his employees from Mar-a-Lago. That was the reason, not the actual crimes. And he even confirmed that the people Epstein was hiring were young women.
From you, were some of them young women? Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were. By the way, I never went to the island. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
And this is the perfect example of how his words just don't hold up. When he's asked about the island, he says he never had the privilege to go there. I mean, think about that choice of words. Privilege? You don't talk about a visit to a known sex island as if it's an invitation to a fancy country club. It completely exposes how he views this entire situation. The fact that he's even using that word tells you everything you need to know about how little his other answers actually mean.
But Donald Trump clearly has no interest in doing the job of president.
He wants to be the king, but he doesn't want to do the work.
Interested in pursuing his true passion, interior design.
The president has taken great interest in renovating the White House, and the latest renovation is the East Wing. He's talking about constructing, beginning in September, a 90,000 square foot ballroom.
It is the new State Ballroom, and you can see from the renderings here from the White House, is expected to be about 90,000 square feet, much in the president's style, gold and crystal chandeliers, gilded Corinthian columns, coffered ceiling with gold inlays as well.
They've wanted a ballroom at the White House for more than 150 years, but there's never been a president that was good at ballrooms. I'm really good. In the first term, I said, you know, if I get another shot at this, I'm going to do a ballroom. I was pretty busy in the first because I was running the country.
Then what are you doing this time?
Here's the weird little speech Trump gave right before he cut the ribbon for his new private golf course.
So may God bless everyone, everyone here and everyone everywhere.
So inspiring, you know?
Patel reportedly found burn bags of Russiagate materials, and we'd love to get your thoughts on that.
He said what?
Burn bags of Russiagate materials that the FBI supposedly found.
I don't know that. I don't know what you mean by that statement. Say it.
Bags full of Russiagate
A
documents.
burn bag. I thought you said appointed a man named burn bag.
Oh, dude, don't admit that. Just say I couldn't hear you. Don't tell the world you were off by a country mile.
When you zoom out, you start to see a much bigger pattern. It's like all these strange moments and comments we've been talking about are just part of a larger strategy to keep the media and the public busy. While everyone is focused on a new White House ballroom or the details of a golf club opening in Scotland, they're not talking about the serious stuff. It's a constant stream of distractions, keeping us from ever really focusing on the actual obligations of the presidency and from the elephant in the room, which can tell if he even is eligible to be the president of the United States or not. The Epstein file.
In the first term, I was busy running the country, but now I'm fully checked out, and I'm like a high school senior who already got into college. I'm falling asleep in class and saving up my energy. For a senior prank, you guessed it, I went on the roof.
Know that he's crazy, but some of the crazy stuff is just to distract us from the crazier stuff. And maybe we should stop trying to stop every crazy, because stopping some of the crazy makes the crazy stuff seem less crazy than he could possibly craze. And
just a quick note for you all. This channel is committed to responsible commentary. We strictly follow all of YouTube's community guidelines, and every clip you see is sourced from public media. If you appreciate that approach, please subscribe to stay with us.
I wasn't a big fan of Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want anything to do with him. I was not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Oh, I'd like to answer that question, at least today. I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
yesterday, he said he was surprised anyone even cares about the guy.
Now, the strategy seems to be to dismiss the story entirely. Call it boring. A hoax.
Why they would be so interested, he's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life.
The most powerful man in the world is blocking information about a cabal of the rich, the famous, and the royal, befriending a con man who regularly flies off in his private plane to his private island or do super illegal sex stuff. Then the con man is arrested. People are afraid he's going to name names, but before he can, he mysteriously dies right after being taken off a suicide watch in a federal prison during the administration of the guy who is blocking the release of the information. Boring!
But the public doesn't seem to think it's boring. In fact, people are far from satisfied with the information they've been given.
For some reason, you're still interested in finding out who's on Epstein's list. Don't be.
I would say that, you know, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden information.
At 6:30 a.m. on the morning of July 23, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his cell. According to the BBC, the New York Medical Examiner officially ruled the death a suicide by hanging.
He didn't kill himself.
It's not hard to see why there's distrust, especially when key evidence like the security footage from outside Epstein's cell has pieces missing.
They were close friends. I knew in the 90s, people in Palm Beach were like, yeah, Trump and Epstein, man, they're always chasing pussy, young girls, this and that. This is not a secret. It was never a secret. What Epstein...
We all know that they were friends at least 10 years, and then apparently it's been reported that there was a falling out, and they were no longer friends. So of course they spent time together. That's what he says. But of course they've spent time together. There are pictures. It's well documented that they had a friendship, that they partied together. So this denial of even almost having this kind of relationship with him or even being in the files doesn't make sense.
And this brings up the central question that people are now wrestling with. Why even try to deny a past that everyone already knows is true?
The president now seemingly flipping his position. I do want the American people to recognize that this is nothing more than a game by the con man.
Representative Jasmine Crockett argues that behind the scenes, this is a classic Trump play. Run out the clock by burying the truth in legal proceedings.
So he gets to play both sides of it. He gets to then blame the courts if the courts then ultimately do what courts are supposed to do, which is to kind of follow the law. So he wants to say, listen, I tried, but it's the judges that wouldn't let me.
So that's what we have here. A string of strange answers, questionable priorities, in a pattern of behavior that seems designed to distract from the tough questions. It's not about making a final judgment, but about looking at the evidence and thinking for yourself. We've shown you the clips. The rest is up to you. Thanks for watching.